Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us read from the verse 20. Kamaistaistairshitagnyanaha prapadyanteenya devataha tam tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyata svaya yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitumicchate tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham sataya shraddhaya yuktaha tasyaradhanamihate labhate cha tatah kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Devan devayajo yanti madbhaktaha yanti mamapi. Those who worship the gods, they go to the gods. Those who worship me, they go to me. The idea is that you can ask for what you want. You can get what you want. What it means is that in our life, the human being has a potential that he can get what he wants. If you want the limited in your life, that's what you will get. If you want the limitless, that's what you get. So here when Lord Krishna uses the pronoun I, it is in the sense of Ishvara. Ishvara, who is Sarvatma, the self of all. Self of all the devatas, self of the whole universe, he is one without a second, Brahman. So in that sense, Lord Krishna uses the word I. Now everybody is a worshipper. Everybody is a devotee of something or the other. And whenever we have a desire, and whenever we perform an action as prompted by a desire, we are worshipping something. The object of desire is very important to me, and in a way I am a worshipper of that. If a child wants to become a doctor, he is a devotee. He is totally devoted to becoming a doctor and that does whatever is required to be done. And so whenever we have a certain goal or objective in mind, then we totally invest ourselves to achieve that goal. So we are devoted to the goal. And so you will achieve whatever it is you are devoted to. And that is the strength that devotion has. A devotion means commitment. We have the Shraddha, the trust that it can be done, and a commitment to do that, and that in fact actualizes or creates what we want. Thus in fact by our own Shraddha, Bhakti, the devotion, commitment, and the effort, essentially we are creating for ourselves what we want. We have created for ourselves what we are in the present as a result of our Shraddha, Bhakti and Karma. With our devotion, with our trust or faith, with effort, we have created what it is that we are. So Lord Krishna says that you can become what you want. You can attain what you want. And so, this word I, when Lord Krishna uses the pronoun I, it is interpreted differently by different acharyas. As I said, that ISKCON comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They interpret this I as Lord Krishna. That is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. the one who dwelt in Vrindavana. So that is what is meant. Others interpret I as Narayana, as Sarvagnya Sarvashaktiman. And yet others, namely Shankaracharya, interpret this Param Brahma. So those who want me, Param Brahma, I am available to them. Those who want some limited end, well, that is what they will get. And next question is, Swamiji, but then you say that we should worship Lord Krishna. Is it what it means here? Lord Krishna says they worship other devatas and they do not worship me. Does it mean that Lord in Bhagavad Gītā prescribes that everybody should worship Lord Krishna? There is no agraha or there is no insistence upon name and the form. It is Ishvara. It doesn't matter in which form I am worshipping. So, for Swami, my Ishta Devata is Ganesha. Now he says, don't go to other devatas. What should I do? It is not what form I worship. It is what it is that I invoke from that form. When you worship Lord Ganesha, you can worship him as a deity to remove my obstacles or to make my start auspicious. Or I can look upon Lord Ganesha as nothing but Saguna Brahma, as Sarvagnya Sarvashaktiman. Or I can look upon Lord Ganesha as Nirguna Brahma. So it is up to me what I want to invoke. So all the forms that are given to us traditionally, each form has a capability of helping us to invoke whatever we want. Therefore there is no agra, no insistence that only a particular form is effective. Whether it is our Ishtadevata is Ganesha, is Dakshinamurti, is Shiva, is Anjaneya, Hanuman, whatever. If you recite Hanuman Chalisa, they will say, Aur Devata Chittana Dharai, Hanumatsai Sarva Sukha Karai. You do not bring any other Devata in your mind. Worship Hanuman and you will get everything that you want. So that is the kind of a devotion that a devotee has, and that's what we should have. They always say that worship one Devata. Don't go shopping and don't keep jumping. One Devata, one mantra, one Guru. Not to restrict us. But it is easier for our mind to relate. If we keep on shifting, then the mind cannot gain an abidance in any one of them. It is like digging in different places for a well and not digging big enough, deep enough for any place. So, don't get disappointed. No, but Swami, this Narayana doesn't help me, let me worship Shiva. That doesn't help me, let me worship Ganesha. So we keep on digging this and never go deep enough. Ultimately, every Ishvara, as Lord Krishna says, Ishvara is the very self of everything and every deity also. So we are worshipping him, but indirectly. So number one, that we can invoke whatever we want from a devata, from any form. So what is important is what am I invoking? Even when worshipping Ganesha, if I invoke Ishvara who is Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, omniscient, omnipotent, yes. Or I can invoke Param Brahma is my very self. I can look upon Ganesha as my own self. I can meditate that way also. So that is up to us. What is meant is, when Lord Krishna says they should worship me, meaning that they should worship Ishvara as their own self. The highest worship is when Ishvara is worshipped as my own self. Bheda bhavanat sohamityasau bhavana bhida pavanimata. Ramana Maharshi says that instead of meditating upon Ishvara as different from myself, meditating upon him or worshipping him as my own self is always considered the best. That will remove every ignorance and every product of ignorance. But that is not easy, and therefore we worship Ishvara as different from us. So worship generally begins by looking upon Ishvara as what we call Nimitta Karanam, as the efficient cause, as a creator. All the theologies present Ishvara as a creator, Nimitta Karanam. And that is what everybody believes. Doesn't matter what the books say. But basically the concept that most individuals have about Ishvara is that he is a creator, sustainer, dissolver, up there. This is how we begin. So the worship usually begins in the realm of duality when I look upon Ishvara as different from me, as omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, as benevolent. And I seek His grace. That's it. Then slowly my understanding of Ishvara becomes more mature. And then there will be recognition that not only is the efficient cause, He is material cause as well. He is not only the creator, but He alone is manifest as the whole creation. Then the relationship is that I look upon myself as part of Ishvara. Because I am also part of creation. Therefore, the relationship between Ishvara now, with being in Ishvara now changes. Formerly the total separation. Now I come much closer. I am part of the Lord. And finally, when my maturity even grows, then I say that Ishvara is neither material cause nor efficient cause. He is not the cause. There is no real creation. All He is one without a second, unconditioned, transcending all the attributes. So ultimately worship is of the Lord beyond all the attributes as my own self. So this is how usually the worship of Ishvara gains maturity. But we must recognize that essentially everybody looks upon Ishvara as different from themselves to begin with. This question is always raised in Satsang. Swami, you say that Brahman is my own self, then who will worship whom? As though Brahman is already his self, So the question is asked as though that's not yet become a reality. It's a possibility yet. But what is the reality right now? How do you feel about yourself? So I am a jiva. How do you feel of Ishvara? He is up there. Okay, accept that. So whatever is our present level, accept that level and adopt a form of worship which is appropriate to that level. No use of make believe something which is not there. So alright, right now Dakshinamurti is different. Mahyam medham prajnam pracha swaha. Please grant me medha and prajna. Please grant me intelligence. Please grant me wisdom. Please grant me prosperity. Naturally, he is different from me. I am a seeker and he is Ishvara. He is God. So this is all duality and we accept it. That there is an experiential duality. And accepting that for the moment, we want to relate to Ishvara in the realm of duality such that ultimately we grow out of duality. Thus worshipping Ishvara is the way of functioning in the realm of duality such that someday we grow out of duality. Growing out of something and growing into something. Growing out of this distance that I am feeling with Ishvara. But I accept the distance right now as I feel and make that as the basis of my worship. If I am intelligent, then I will not ask for any limited end from Ishvara. So whether I am a Sakama Bhakta or Nishkama, meaning that am I worshipping Ishvara for some limited, fulfilling a limited desire, or I worship Ishvara for the sake of worship. So Lord Krishna, when He says that they worship other devatas, meaning that they worship me with desire. That means that even if you worship, even as ISKCON says worship Lord Krishna, as long as you worship Him in the realm of duality and for fulfilling desire, we are not invoking the whole Krishna anyway, we are invoking one part of Him. If I want wealth from Him, then I am only invoking only Kubera from Him. He is everything. Kubera is the deity, is the Ishta deity of wealth. So if I ask of Lord Krishna wealth, that means that I am looking upon Him as Kubera. Whether I give that name or not, but that's what it means. I went to other devata, in a way. If I want my disease should be removed, alright, you can. But that means that I am invoking only that aspect of Ishvara. So when Lord Krishna says people go to other devatas, it means that they only worship a limited aspect and they worship Ishvara with desire, fulfilling desires. Worshipping me means that it is Nishkama Bhakti, worshipping me without any desire, expectation of desire. And that is the most sensible way of doing things. Rather than asking Ishvara that you please give me that, best way is let Him decide. You decide what is good for me. Because so far I decided what is good for me and this is what I am. I am what I am as a result of what all I have desired in the past. I don't want to do that. I want to leave it up to you. You decide what is good for me. Thus a devotee leaves it up to you. That is called surrender. If he does not fulfill my desire, I did not need it. This is my trust. What is called faith in Ishvara, is in his benevolence or goodness, is that if I do not get something that I wanted, my conclusion is not he did not give me. My conclusion is that I did not need it, therefore he did not give me. There is a trust or a faith that he knows what is best for me. If it doesn't come, good riddance, it did not come. Thank God it did not come. That's what a devotee will say. Other fellow will say, Ishvara, what is your Ishvara? What is he doing there? He doesn't do anything. But as I said, it is not that the mother necessarily gives everything their child wants. Do you give everything to your child? No, not necessarily. Child is sick and still wants candy. You don't give it to it. After suffering from, I just got up from an illness of 3 months, from typhoid, and I want to eat laddu, and they won't give me. This is a papaya, Swami, this is good for you. No, I want laddu, but he gives me papaya, because papaya is good for me. In his best judgment, he knows what is good for me. It's possible that they may be cruel to me, in order to be kind to me. And therefore, not fulfilling our desire is not looked upon as an act of cruelty or punishment. They always look upon that as an act of kindness. Anyway, maybe I did not need it. Therefore, it's not given to me. This is always giving benefit of doubt to Ishvara. That's called Shraddha. That's all in the realm of duality. But best is not to ask for anything. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurogam dadami buddhiyogam tam. Lord Krishna says in the 10th chapter, when I find that my devotees are worshipping me just out of love for me, with no other expectation at all, then what do? I give myself to them, because I don't ask for anything. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them the buddhi yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Ye namam upayantete, by which they reach me, by which they know me as their own self. Therefore, this asking for something makes no sense. Alpamedasam. People of only dull intellect or limited intellect alone ask for favor and ask for things from the Lord, and then they get it also. But best is not to ask for anything. It is my pleasure. My pleasure to please you. My pleasure to do it for this. That's how Karma Yoga comes. Karma Yoga is performing an action out of love for action. Out of my love to help please you. I want to please the Lord. Why do I want to please Him? Because He has pleased me all this time. And therefore, it is my privilege to please Him. My pleasure comes from His pleasure. Then that is called sattvic pleasure. A non-binding happiness is when it comes from happiness of someone else. A binding happiness is when it comes from fulfilling a desire. And the worst happiness is when it comes from somebody making somebody unhappy. So one fellow is happy because somebody else is happy. One fellow is happy because he is happy. Other fellow is happy because somebody is unhappy. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. The best in our life also. The best way of gaining happiness is by giving happiness. Happiness is something to be given, never to be asked for. Love is something to be given, never to be asked for. Because it is myself. And by giving, I am not obliging anybody. By giving that, in fact, I am invoking what is already there. Just making a manifest. This is what Bhagavad Gītā teaches. That's called yoga. So all that was taught. And finally Lord Krishna says that those who worship me, seeking no favor, nothing limited, then they get me. Mad bhaktaha yanti mamapi. Devotees, my devotees. My devotees means not devotees of just a given form, devotees of Ishvara. And what's the best devotion? Tell me. What is the best form of love? Not making any demands, is it not so? When do I feel best loved? One who loves me makes no demand upon me. I have all the liberty. Really the best way to serve is to give them the liberty. Best to serve the Guru is give them the liberty. Whatever you want, fine. Have the liberty. Want to eat? Yes. Not eat? Yes. Here? Yes. Have it your way. So, but Swami, you will be taken for granted. Being taken for granted is devotion, that's all. But they will exploit you. Let them exploit. What is there to be taken away? This is our bhakta. I am not suggesting you do this, but I am saying that this is what a devotee does. With a total trust that what, Ishvara, after all, he is always benevolent, he always, is my well-wisher. So serving anybody also is, as best as possible, be as non-demanding as you can, that's all. Not making demand is a base service. When Lord Rama went to Chitrakoot, when he went to forest, then different people came to see him. Devatas came, Rishis came, other people came, and then the tribes people also came, finally. Everybody always came and made offering, So these tribal people says, Lord, we are sorry, we have nothing to offer. All we can offer to you is that we will not snatch away your bow and arrow and whatever you have. That's what we normally do. We snatch away whatever that anybody has, we will not do. That's our seva to you. That is great, And so there are different ways of serving. But the right way of serving is making them happy. And when can you make somebody happy? When you do what they want. And in so doing, your wants have to be set aside. Then you can't want, no, but I will, and then my want also should be that, then it's conditional serving. That I will serve provided such and such conditions are satisfied. Okay. But Lord Krishna, the best way is unconditional surrender, unconditional acceptance of Ishvara. In His infinite wisdom, this is what He does, acceptable to me. All resistance to Ishvara, the only reality of life, all resistance goes away. To the extent the resistance goes away, that is what creates the distance. To that extent the distance also goes away. Let go of the resistance, let go of the resentment, let go of those things. Accepting Ishvara. Mad bhaktaha yanti mamapi, thus those who accept me, they reach me. But how come they don't do this? When it is so, then why don't people do that? Because of the problem that they have, ignorance. Ignorance is a problem because of which people just miss the boat, that's all. So Lord Krishna explains in several following verses. Next verse is Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavamajanantah mama vyayamanuttama. In Vedantic terminology we say this is vikshepa, superimposition. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah. Abuddhayah, people who do not have buddhi, ignorant people. So ignorant people, non-discerning people, non-discriminating people. Mama avyayam anuttamam bhavam ajanantah. Let me explain what is abuddhayah. What is meant by ignorant people? What is it that they do not know? Mam anuttamam bhavam ajanantah. Not knowing my limitless, changeless nature, which is greater than the greatest, the limitless, the changeless. Not knowing me as such, vyaktimapannam, take me to be I who is avyakta, unmanifest, limitless. They look upon me as vyakta, as manifest, as limited. And nobody wants to worship the limited. So here we are told how there is this superimposition. Taking the case of Lord Krishna himself, you can interpret here Lord Krishna saying that, look, people think that I am just a vyakti, I am just an individual person. Not knowing param bhavam ajanantah, not knowing that I am limitless. I am changeless, I am unsurpassable, not knowing that they look upon me only as an limited individual. Jivanukari Karyadarsanat. Because I act as a human being and I do what other human beings do, therefore they simply take me as another human being. Mostly. There were some devotees of Lord Krishna who recognized him as Purushottama. Few. But people like Duryodhana, Shishupala, Kamsa, Dantavaktara, all those fellows did not give him credit for what he was as a human being. They looked down upon him. That's one way of interpreting. Therefore they look upon, they superimpose or they look upon me only as a limited individual, not knowing what in reality I am. Therefore, they don't respect me. Or, another way of looking upon that is, what is in front of me? Us is Ishvara. The limitless. The one appearing as many. The limitless appearing as limited. Ajanantaha, not knowing that, so earlier it was said, Tribihi gunamair bhavaihi evissaramidam jagat mohitam. Inasmuch as Lord has manifest before me, not in this costume, the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So, his manifestation is through this medium of the gunas. Like an actor manifests before us in a costume of beggar or something like that, and therefore, people who do not know him take him to be a beggar. Treat him as a beggar. After the play is over, people go and give him a quarter and so he said, look at these fellows. They think that I am a beggar. Because he acts like a beggar. Therefore, people think he is beggar. So people just take what they see as ultimately real. They see the snake, they think that it is a snake. This rope is crying, hey, I am a rope, come on. But they look upon them as snake. Similarly also, what is in front of us is Ishvara. But then, unfortunately, we look upon that as a world of diversity and disparity and duality. Or, further, in fact, who am I? I am also nothing other than Ishvara. Limitlessness is my nature. Vyakti mahapannam. But how do I look upon myself, Vyakti, as an individual? So when I brand myself as an individual, as a doer, as an experiencer, as whatever, then what am I branding? It is Param Brahma. So Brahman, the limitless, which is myself, is all the time branded by me as a limited individual. So Lord Krishna is Avyaktam, I am unmanifest. Meaning that I am limitless. And the very self of your being, but they look upon me as a Vyakti, as an individual, take me to be limited. So thus, Lord Krishna says how everybody, essentially, except a few enlightened people, how do people look upon themselves as limited beings? Even though themselves are limitless, they look upon themselves as limited beings. And therefore, ask for limited things. So why do people behave the way they do? Lord Krishna explains, it is because of ignorance. Not knowing the true nature of their own self, therefore, they take themselves to be limited. Not knowing the true nature of the universe, and therefore, they look upon that as a world of material pleasures. And not knowing Krishna, they look upon him also as an individual. But why is it so? If you are the self, then how come they don't know? So next verse explains that. Naham prakashas sarvasya yogamaya samavrutah mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. Naham prakāsas sarvasya. Lord Krishna says that I am not evident to anybody. How come? Yoga maya samavruta. Hey, you are my own self. And you say that you are asti bhati priyam. You are self-existing, self-effulgent, always revealing yourself. Then how come I do not know? Yoga maya samavruta, samyak avruta, very well veiled or covered. Yoga maya, by my yoga maya. On account of ignorance. What is meant by Maya is a projecting power. As you said, ignorance is the two aspects. One is veiling the truth, and second, creating an appearance of what is not there. So first, what the Yoga Maya or ignorance does is, it veils me the truth about myself that I am limitless, and creates there an appearance of my being limited. Therefore, Mudhoyam lokah mam ajam avyayam na jan. Therefore, they do not know me with their own self, who is ajam, birthless. I look upon myself as subject to birth and death. I look upon myself as a mortal being, not recognizing that I am birthless. Avyayam, I look upon myself as subject to death. Avyayam, in fact, I am imperishable. So, not knowing the true nature of one's own self, because of ignorance, therefore, people take themselves to be contrary to what they are. So, this verse 25, in Vedantic language, tells us what we call avaranam, not knowing the true nature. Lord says that I am not evident. Even though I am shining, I shine in the very self in the hearts of all the beings, and still I am not evident as Param Brahma. As Kathopanishad says, Esha sarveshu bhuteshu godhotmana prakashade. Brahman is the self of all the beings and still doesn't shine as such, doesn't become evident as such. On the other hand, he as though becomes evident as a limited being. And therefore everybody takes himself or herself to be a limited individual. Takes others also as limited individuals. Takes the world as different from themselves. Takes Ishvara also as different from themselves. And it is nobody's fault. This is how the situation is. There is something called ignorance, because of which we do not know ourselves. There is something called projection, because of which we take ourselves to be quite contrary to what we are. Just as a rope is taken to be the snake, and so also the limitless is taken to be a limited individual. But why is it so, Swamiji? I do not know. Why? Why should there be ignorance? Out of frustration then people ask this question, but why ignorance? No idea at all. No karma. Karma also is product of ignorance. Why ignorance? In fact, this question is out of ignorance only. It is ignorance that causes these questions. If ignorance is not there, then this why would not be there. But why am I a limited being? But who says you are a limited being? Why is world like this? But who says it is like that? It is like a dreamer asking all kinds of questions about why is it like this in a dream? Wake up, then you'll know what it is. Then these questions will not remain. As long as a person is dreaming, so long so many questions are there. And what can we say? We can only say that there is no reason. This is how it is. But when you wake up, none of these questions will remain also. So, these questions remain as long as ignorance is. When ignorance is not, then the question also does not remain. So, Lord Krishna says that even though I am the self of all, I do not reveal myself as such because my true nature is concealed by the ignorance. And not only that, but I who is limitless is evident to everybody as a limited being, and therefore everybody takes themselves to be limited. Everybody feels sense of limitation, a lack or want, therefore their desires. And therefore they also project upon the value upon the objects which is not there, then they desire those objects, and that's how this wheel of samsara goes on. Otherwise we would not be born. But the wheel of samsara goes on because of ignorance. Thus Vedanta explains that the whole creation is a product of ignorance. Why ignorance? Well, if ignorance is not there, you and I would not be here to ask the question also. But then, ignorance is the cause of everything. But that means that everybody is ignorant. How about you, Lord? This Maya, which seems to conceal everybody's knowledge, which seems to take everybody into cast a spell upon everybody, that does it cast spell upon you also or not? Like that demon Bhasmasura, his name was Nishasura, I think. So this fellow performs a big penance, the Asura demon, performs a huge penance and pleases Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva appears before him. Says, what do you want? What can I give you? I want to be immortal. That you cannot be, nobody can be immortal. Ask for something else. Every demon always wants to live forever and wants to control the whole universe. So give me the power that when I place my hand on somebody's head, that fellow will turn to ashes. Granted. Lord Shiva doesn't know what the consequences are of granting. Ultimately, this Lord Shiva and Brahma, they keep giving boons. It is Lord Vishnu, he has to come and set everything right because that is his job. Preserving and maintaining order is the job of Lord Vishnu. These people, they are Brahma and Shivaji, they do not know. It's alright. So this boon is granted. And so then this fellow asks them, alright, can I try it upon you? No, it was trying on other people. No, but let me see. You are right there, let me try. So that is how in Hindi, teri billi tujhko meow. That is what happens anyway. But somebody can ask this question, when Lord Krishna says that I am not evident to anybody, everybody is under the spell of the Maya, next question can be, are you also under the spell of the Maya? Lord Krishna says no. That is called a magician who casts a spell upon everybody, but himself is always free from the spell of the magic. And so the verse 26 says, Vedaham samatitani Vartamanani charjuna Bhavishyani cha bhutani Mam tu vedana kaschana. Vedaham, I know, samatitani bhutani Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, I know all the things that have gone by. Vartamanani bhutani, all the beings are things that are now. Bhavishyani bhutani, and all that will come into being. Lord Krishna says, look, I know whatever was in the past, whatever is in the present, and whatever will ever come in future. Meaning that I know all the 3 periods of time, and whatever is in all the 3 periods of time, I am omniscient. So Lord Krishna clarifies who he is. From what level he is talking. From what level he is talking, he himself clarifies. I am omniscient, I am all-knowing. Know the past, present and future. So even if you worship Lord Krishna as such, then also is okay, but if you... Lord Krishna ultimately is the avatar of Ishvara alone. And therefore he is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. So if you choose the form of Lord Krishna, if that is quite alright, if that suits you, as long as from that form also we invoke the Ishvara, omniscient, omnipotent, because that's what he says here. That I know all the 3 periods of time. Mam tu vedana kaschana, but no one knows me. I know everything, no one knows me. Meaning that everyone is under the spell of ignorance, but I am not. Like a magician, I always free from the spell of magic and casting spell upon everybody else. So the Lord Krishna confirms that no, the Maya is my power, I use it. Prakritim swamavastabhya visrijami punah punah. Wielding my Maya, Prakriti, I create again and again and dissolve again and again. Alright, so that is what we call avaranam, not knowing the true nature of the self. Vikshepa, taking a self to it opposite of what it is. Not knowing that I am limitless and taking myself to be limited. What does that do? How do we know that there is ignorance in our life? What's the evidence? First evidence is that I look upon myself as a jiva, as a limited being. And further, this sense of limitation, what does it do? So what is the grossest? So 3 levels of obstacles that are told here to knowledge. First is avaranam or ignorance. Second is vikshepa, the projection that it gives rise to, meaning dehata buddhi, taking myself with the body-mind complex, taking myself limited. And thirdly, what does that do? So that is said in the verse 27. So we have to go this way. Number 3, number 2, number 1. So this is the grossest manifestation of ignorance. As said in the verse 27. Ichcha dvesha samuttena द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहम् सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप। इच्छा द्वेष समुत्थेन द्वन्द्व मोहेन. Ichcha means desire or likes. Dvesha means dislikes. So likes and dislikes. Everybody is born with a tendency of likes and dislikes. So this is the ultimate product of ignorance. The first product is that I do not know who I am. The second product is that I take myself to be opposite of what I am, taking myself to be limited. And what that causes is these likes and dislikes. Because as you said, the sense of limitation makes me a wanting being. I find myself wanting, lacking being, a needy person, and look upon the world as fulfilling my needs. So whatever promises to fulfill my needs becomes an object of like. Whatever comes in the way of my fulfillment becomes object of dislike. Therefore, every limited person is bound to have likes and dislikes. Every limited person is going to be a needy person also. And every needy person looks upon the world to fulfill the needs. And as long as I expect somebody else or something else to make me happy, that's the main problem that we have. I want others to make me happy. I want others to make me feel comfortable. I want others to make me feel safe and secure. I want others to love me. I want others to make me happy. That's it. This is samsara. Because this is a sure ground of misery in the life. All the misery is caused by this, that expecting the world to make me happy. The world is trying to make me happy. Not that the world does not try. They try from morning till evening. Swami, what can I do? This break, everything they do to make me happy. But it's up to me to become happy, If I have decided not to become happy, nobody can make me happy. Because happiness nobody can give me. What they can give me is breakfast, table, nice, mat, everything is nice bowl and beautiful setup is there. Yes, they can do. Bring the best one. Which cereal do you like? Okay. What kind of milk? All right. Breakfast, what will you have for lunch? In between 10 o'clock, what will you like? Lunch, 2 o'clock, what do you have? Or 4 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. And everything is set up. The best car, everything is there. All comfort the world can give me. But happiness, nobody can give me what they don't have. Thus, my depending upon anybody else for happiness, for love, for comfort, that desire is doomed for failure. And that is what creates all ragadveshas. All likes and dislikes are created because I want others to make me happy. If they oblige me, as long as they oblige me, so long I love you, I love you, I love you. They stop obliging me, I love you, I love you. That's what goes on. There is no consistency also. Now I like the very thing I may dislike. What I dislike today, I may like tomorrow. Therefore, the Mahatmas explained to us that never criticize anybody. You don't know who you are going to need tomorrow. You do not know who you will need tomorrow, so better don't criticize. You will need them tomorrow. And don't raise somebody to sky high, Don't keep on praising and praising because you don't know what you will find tomorrow. And therefore, just not be indifferent. At the same time, don't become unduly emotional. Because once we take a stand, then we see no limit at all. Moment we like somebody, we raise him to the sky. Dislike somebody, you put him in the, nether worlds. Nothing in between. Just be objective. That, okay, this is one face of a person. That doesn't mean it's the whole person. All right, the person behaves like this now doesn't mean always behaves like that all the time. oh, this behavior is only in these conditions, but in many other ways it is not like that. So we look upon a little part and judge it as a whole. So we look upon the part and brand the whole, and then we like it and dislike it. Then we find other aspect. Then what I like, now I start disliking. What I dislike, now I start liking. And so people also don't know how to relate to me. I don't know how to relate to the world also, because it's all changing. But these likes and dislikes are a product of my need. What is the need? Need that somebody should make me happy. Somebody should love me. Somebody should make him comfortable. Is going to produce likes and dislikes. Sarvabhutani samoham sarge yanti parantapa. Here Arjuna, all the beings. And all the beings are human beings. It doesn't matter to other beings, but then all the beings are born with this ignorance. And therefore looking upon the self as limited, looking upon body as a self, looking upon self as limited, and therefore feeling wanting and lacking, and thus always wishing that the world should make us happy, and therefore the likes and dislikes which are a product of this. Even if I wish, if I recognize that I have to fulfill that wish by myself, others can become instrumental, but ultimately it's I who has to do. So be clear about this, that happiness is something to be invoked from myself. The love is to be invoked from myself. And the only way to invoke it is by giving it. Give happiness. But Swami, you just said that you can't give happiness. How can you give? Make somebody happy. How do you make it? Do what they want. Make them happy. Take one person, not the whole world. Start with one. And do one act. Just one act of making somebody happy. Just one act. And see the result. Then if you are encouraged, 2 acts. Yes, Swami, that was good. 2, 3. Like one of our brahmacharis in India, we gave him the duty of distributing prasad. So every day the puja is performed, I used to perform puja, prasad is there, he would distribute. He was the most welcome person, because when you distribute prasad, everybody likes it. That fellow also enjoyed that so much every day prasad. One day I found that even everything was missing, So what was, prasad is what you offer to the Lord. There's always talk of other things, which will go tomorrow. Everything was distributed. Why? Because you so much enjoyed the task. I said, hey, this is not. So when you do something and when you find somebody happy, you become so enthused that you want more and more of that. So real happiness it comes when you see somebody happy by your action. You feel really, and there is this non-binding happiness. Because nobody will compete with you if you give. Competition is when you want, then everybody also wants. Then there is competition and there is struggle. Nobody will compete with you when you want to give. And by giving, I don't mean money only. Give yourself meaning what? Give a little kindness, give a little time, give something. If money is difficult to give, don't keep it with you, but give something. Whatever I can give. So many time I can give. Okay. Little good words, couple of good words. Just a little smile. That also becomes so difficult, so I can't smile at this person. Do that. Just little. Vachana ka daridrata. In Sanskrit said, why do you want to be daridra? Why do you want to be miserly with reference to words? At least be generous in the words. By performing that Manas Puja, worshipping mentally, as Swami explained yesterday. So in the olden days, Swami used to conduct meditation also, mental worship. Worship Lord Shiva and give him the bath and now these flowers and offer him different flowers. So when you offer the best flowers. Don't offer, stale flowers. At least mentally when you are worshipping, then do the best, Get the freshest flowers, best. When offering food, offer the best food, why not? So similarly also, when you just have to talk nicely. If you have to give, then it may be difficult, okay. You have to part with something difficult, but then at least talk nicely, smile. talk nicely means not that you just flatter everybody or whatever, but just be sweet, be kind. Just kindness and goodness. We have plenty of that. Even if you have no money, nothing else to give, there is plenty of kindness and goodness to give. More we give, more we discover as the treasure in ourselves. That is called self-growth. Simply living a life of kindness and goodness and discover the treasure house of goodness. That is Brahman. Discover yourself ultimately to be Ishvara. But what people have is dvesh, raga and dvesha. Because I want. And whoever promises to fulfill my want, I love that. Whoever comes in the way of my want, I hate. And that is how Lord Krishna says, everybody is born with this tendency of raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes, attachment and aversion, hatred and attraction, running after something, running away from something. That's all. Sarvbhutani sammoham sargeyanti parantapa. And that prevents us from being objective with reference to objects of the world. When now we relate to the world also with this tendency of likes and dislikes, then we are not objective. We always look at everything through the glasses of likes and dislikes. We already branded. That's how we look. Never fresh. You know how I say that, look, this person came to you in the morning. Look upon him as a new person, not what was yesterday. I never do that. I already, my mind, the picture is very clear to that. I never give him the benefit. Always that only. But I'm changed. Swamiji, look at me. I'm different. No, I cannot look at you. I know this is how you are. So, welcome everything as a fresh and see, as something new. But our residual impressions always remain. And we always keep on branding and judging. Before a person even has a chance, he's already branded. We brand and hang. That's what we do. This is a tendency. So we have to recognize this tendency in us. That's all. Before doing anything, let us recognize. Do I have raga dvesha? Otherwise it all remains theoretical thing. This is all nice intellectual learning. But when I look at my own mind and various thoughts and tendencies arising, and then I say, this is called attachment. This is aversion. This is anger. This is partiality. See, I am partial to this, cruel to this. When we recognize these tendencies, secondly, recognize whether that does any harm to me or not. If it doesn't do harm, keep it with you. Give up. Mahatmas say that, give up that which is cause of unhappiness. What is cause of unhappiness? Arjuna therefore wanted to give action. Hey, action doesn't cause unhappiness. It is attachment that causes unhappiness. Give up attachment. You give up action, retain attachment. That means that you have given up what you could, the sadhana is given up. So it's attachment, it's raga dvesha that are causing this pain. Let us recognize them and also see whether or not they are painful. They cause any harm to me or not. If I discover that yes, being partial, being cruel, being attached, having aversion, all of this is hurting me. Anger is hurting me. Greed is hurting me. Jealousy is hurting me. Then alone there is incentive to give it up. Otherwise, nobody gives up anything. Everybody knows that to speak truth is right and speak false is wrong, but everybody keeps on doing anyway because nobody has recognized that speaking false means unhappiness. That equation is not there. Still, happiness only comes from money, not from speaking truth. Therefore, we always choose money instead of truth. It's only when I recognize that speaking false is hurting me, when the value of value is recognized, then alone the value becomes valuable to me. Until then, it doesn't become valuable. All this, what is being taught here, becomes relevant to me when I see its application in my own life. What the teachers do for us is to try to make it as clear as possible with reference to our life. But still, this does require to be translated in my personal life. They talk of ignorance. Do I have ignorance? They talk of this wrong perception. What is my perception? Do I have likes and dislikes? So when I recognize that yes, this thought is called dislike, this is like, this is attachment, aversion, and this is what it does to me. It deprives me from being objective, deprives me from a healthy relationship. So relationship with likes and dislikes is an unhealthy relationship. Most of my relationships are unhealthy. Either I favor somebody or reject somebody. So therefore, first then value is what? Becoming free from likes and dislikes. How do we do that? Next verse tells us that. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmuktaha bhajante mam drudhavrataha. Yeshantu papam antagatam. So what was said, Ichcha, Dvesha in the previous verse is called papam in the next verse. This raga, dvesha, any action that I perform as prompted by raga and dvesha is going to be a papa karma. Anything that I do as prompted by attachment and aversion is going to involve it will hurt somebody. When I'm attached to somebody, I'm going to be cruel to somebody else. Attachment brings about partiality. This side. You come. You don't come. Attachment meaning being partial to one, automatically being cruel to someone. Hurting someone. Aversion, of course, when I have anger at somebody, that is directly hurt. But even when I have attachment for somebody else is deprived of the right, violence is there. So whenever any action is performed is prompted by raga or dvesha, attachment or aversion, there will be lack of fairness. I cannot be fair, I cannot be just when my action is prompted by attachment and aversion. To somebody I am unfair, somebody's right is trampled upon, violence is involved. That is papa. So it is papa that has caused ragadveshas, and ragadveshas keep on causing papa. So we have to reverse this whole trend. We are born with the trend of these likes and dislikes. There is no choice. Sammoham sargayanti parantapa, right from the birth itself, or from the beginning of creation we have it. When did this begin? But I was born with ragadvesha in this birth, but why? Because of past birth. But then because of a past birth. But for the first time, what about that? When I did not have ragadvesha. No first time. It's just this is how it is. There never was a time when I was free from ragadvesha. There is no beginning. This is how it is. We are born. So there is a tendency. We must deliberately reverse the tendency. So self-growth has to be deliberate. It will not take place by itself. If you leave things to our tendencies or vasanas or samskaras or habits, then they will always control us. We will take the law in our hand. Dridhavrataha. People of firm commitment. People who have commitment to self-growth. People who have commitment for freedom. People who recognize that the bondage is being controlled by my likes and dislikes. That is the bondage. There are inner compulsions. I am not free. Even when people think that they are free, they are highly bound. People today think that we are free when we can do what we want to do. That's all. But are you really free? You are free as far as somebody else's control is concerned, but you are controlled by your own impulses anyway. Your own mind compels you. Therefore you want to do so. Freedom without responsibility is license. It's not freedom. But that is the kind of freedom everybody wants today. Freedom means the freedom to do whatever I want to do. When not accompanied with responsibility, that freedom becomes a destructive, it becomes license, becomes hurtful, becomes destructive. Dridhavrataha, recognition that really it is my inner compulsions that make me bound. Bondage never comes from out there, bondage always is in there in the form of the likes and dislikes. And then further in the form of superimposition, then further in the form of ignorance. But first we deal with the likes and dislikes, then deal with the ego, and then deal with the ignorance. That's the krama. When Lord Rama is fighting a battle with Ravana, Ravana is the last one to be killed. First of all his army comes, and then all his warriors they come, and then his Senapati, the commanders they come, and finally he comes. So all these fellows are armies, Ragadvesha, army of ignorance. Ego is Aham Mama is the commander of ignorance, and then comes ignorance. It is not possible to right away attack that ignorance as long as all these children are with us, and so, first of all, therefore, get rid of this Ragadveshas. Dhrudha-vrata. When can it happen? When my vrata or vow or commitment is firm, that this is what I want to do, this is I have to do. When the value of value is recognized, when the value of becoming free from Ragadvesha is recognized, then alone my vow or vrata becomes firm. Otherwise, our vow does not become firm. Nothing is firm. Swamiji, I have decided so many times, every morning I will get up and do yogasana, 1 hour. Did it for 3 days. 4th day, 45 minutes. 3rd day, 30 minutes. 4th day, 15 minutes. 5th day, 5 minutes. 6th day is gone, once and for all. I'll do this japa and this meditation. Nothing lasts. Why? Because the value is not recognized. I want immediate results. So, Swami, I did yoga for 15, nothing happened to me. I went in japa for 1, nothing happened. Doesn't matter whether it happens or not, do it. Because this is bhavaroga, this disease of samsara is a very old disease. It is not a new disease. So Ayurvedic physicians tell us that the treatment should last in proportion to the length of the disease. If I go to the Ayurvedic physicians, I ask, Swamiji, since how long have you been having acidity? Since 50 years. Then for 50 months do this medication. 50 months? That is what it will take. I want result in 50 days. If I had my time, in 5 days I want results. Then go there, not here. This is a Vedantic shop is Ayurvedic shop, not a quick fix shop. Because what happens is in 5 days it goes away it goes away from here and comes in the stomach, goes in stomach and comes in the ears, it goes in ears and comes in somewhere, Vedanta doesn't want that. Ayurveda doesn't want that kind of stuff. Dhrudha-vrata. Therefore, affirm a vow that comes from understanding, from viveka, from discernment, not from just being fanatic about something. Vedanta always wants viveka. They always want discrimination, wants understanding. That the vows that I take also should come from understanding, from having recognized the value of following this vow. So the only commitment is self-growth. That I want to bring from myself, I want to make evident from myself what is my true nature. That love is my nature, goodness is my nature, kindness is my nature, wholeness is my nature, happiness is my nature. And I am committed to bring that to manifestation. As we said, the only way to do is by performing act of kindness, by performing act of goodness, by performing act of love. Give this way, perform an act of love. Fake it till you make it. But Swami's love does not come. Kindness doesn't matter. Do what you would have done. Had you been kind, what would you do? Do that. Physicalize the desire. Even if the spirit is not there of kindness, it doesn't matter. Physicalize, at least you want to be kind. Physicalize. Swami, there is no devotion, I am sitting in front of you, Dakshinam, nothing happens. Don't worry. Still recite the names. Still bow down. Still chant the prayers. So just as the spirit brings about action, action can bring about spirit also. That is the Hatha Yoga part, Vedanta begins with intellect and then wants to correct everything. Hatha Yoga begins with body, and then what? That's also okay. Vedanta addresses our intellect, understanding, because that governs everything, and then wants to correct everything through that. But that seems to be very difficult to some people. So you start with the body and then go to understanding. Here also, if that spirit is not there, start with action. And someday, slowly that spirit also will be invoked. Punya karma, that's called punya karma. What is punya karma? What is the virtuous action? is act of kindness or goodness or act of love, act of offering, act of charity. Any act that is performed which invokes the wholeness and goodness from me. That's called punya karma. Punya karmanam, on account of doing this for a long time. How long, Swamiji? Bahunam janma, I do not know. So, aneka janma samsiddha. Performing punya karma over a number of lifetimes. So have patience. How many lifetimes? This is only lifetime. We are not saying that, but then have patience. Do what is to be done. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadach. There also, in this also, that let us not expect results right away. Swami, nothing is happening. Keep doing. Keep digging. Nothing, water is not coming. Keep digging. Water has to be there in the earth. But 50 feet, continue. 100 feet, continue. 500 feet, continue. 750 feet, you got it. All right. You know the story of these two devotees. Since that one sage Narada was going to Vaikuntha, and he has a free passport to go everywhere. And so once he was going, and on his way, he came across one ascetic performing penance. And sage Narada stopped there and talked to him and said, "Oh, you are going to Vaikuntha? Please do me a favor. That's all. Please ask Lord Narayana, when am I going to be released now?" Okay, I'll ask. That's devotee A. On the way again, another devotee B. He also requested, please ask from Lord Narayana, when is the last, when am I going to be released? So then Naradji visited Lord Narayana and came back and then saw that devotee number B. He says, Lord Narayana says that you will require only 3 births to become free. 3 births still? And went to the second one. He says, did you ask Lord Narayana? What does he say? He says, well, you are sitting under the tree. You know how many leaves are there? As many leaves are there, as many births you will require to become released. Oh, thank you very much. That's all. I will be released finally, isn't it? It's a matter of attitude. So it has to happen. It has to happen. Because it is my nature. Nobody can deny the truth. When we are wedded, satyameva jayate, when we are wedded to the truth, it cannot be denied. Thus, when I am wedded to the truth that I am going to act out of my goodness, then it cannot be denied because it is my nature. Yesham tvandagadam papam jananam punyakarmanam. All those people who are given to the virtuous actions, as you said, action called punyakarma, action of kindness and goodness. Andagadam papam. So every act of kindness neutralizes some tendency. Every act of kindness neutralizes some tendency of cruelty. Every act of love neutralizes some tendency of hatred. Any act of charity neutralizes some tendency of greed. Has to. And thus, I keep neutralizing. Dhradavrataha. I don't necessarily, again, this is not result-oriented. This is what? Process-oriented. Oriented not toward result. Performance orientation, Lord Krishna doesn't like that. Do what you need to do. And thus, every time, as I said, I perform punya karma, some tendency of papa is neutralized. In course of time, antagatam papam. This papa, ragadveshas, antagatam, they come to an exhaustion essentially. Te dvandva moha nirmuktaha. Then they become free from dvandva of likes. Dvandva is pairs of opposites of likes and dislikes. You know, how do we know that we have likes and dislikes? One test of attachment and aversion that we have. When there is attachment and aversion, then they are like the buttons. World can push the buttons. And when I find myself reacting, with elation or depression, when I find myself reacting, understand that the raga dveshas are there. They are the buttons. They dvandva moha nirmukta. That is the reason why the conditions of the world keep on impacting us. There is no peace of mind. Because something good happens, then also I am disturbed with elation. Something undesirable happens, then also I am depressed. I never have that balance of mind. Always impacted by the events of the world. And that is the nature of the world. You keep on coming up with, nichair gacchati, uparicha dasha, chakra naimik kramena, like the wheel, the rim of a wheel goes down and up. That's how the situation will keep on for anybody. If a Swami and no Swami, everybody is to face. That is how the world is. And if I keep on responding and being controlled and dance to the tune of that, I will always find myself dancing, never steady. But as Ragadveshas go, I find myself more composed. I am able to compose, I find myself more composed on the face of changing situations. Nityancha samachittatvam ishtanishto pattishu. Whether desirable or undesirable, I find myself maintaining the calmness or poise of the mind. That is when the bhakti arises. It is ragadveshas that deny the devotion. It's all there in us. But ragadveshas, because of that, the heart has become so hard, like stone. Therefore, there is no softness, no tenderness left there. So, slowly the heart becomes tender. And then, the bhakti of the devotion of the Lord arises. Bhajante ma. So far they were worshipping the world, now they start worshipping me. Dhadavrata. And then this vrata, that Bhagavan eva bhajaniya hai, it is Lord alone who is to be worshipped. And that's what I want in my life. That vrata also becomes dhrada. That I want nothing less than Ishvara. That vrata also, that vow also becomes firm. And with that firm vow, they worship me. What for they worship you? What do they get out of that? The next verse tells us that. Jara marana mokshaya mama shritya yatanti ye te brahma tadviduh kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Jara marana mokshaya, freedom from old age and birth. So what does the devotee want? He wants freedom. Freedom from what? Old age and birth. That's a representative. Old age also means pain. Birth means death. That is also pain. He basically wants freedom from pain, freedom from sorrow. And old age, etc. are associated with that, generally equated to sorrow. Nobody likes old age because it's all dependence. You start forgetting, you can't remember things, and every time can't hear properly, can't see properly, can't remember, and then slowly you require a third leg also. Nobody likes that. So meaning Jara, freedom from old age and death means freedom from dependence. Freedom from inner compulsions, freedom from outer compulsions. I want freedom. And knowing fully well the freedom comes by knowledge and not by any action, I become a jignasu. From artha, I become a sarthi. From that, I become jignasu. Jara marana mokshaya mam ashriti yatanti. Those people, yatanti, those people who strive. So yatna means effort, striving. Those people who strive with what? Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. So once the desire for knowledge arises, then one goes to the teacher and subjects oneself to the teaching and does what we call shravanam, listening to the teacher, mananam, removing all the doubts, nididhyasanam, assimilating the teaching, making it my own, gaining an abidance in the knowledge. That also calls for yatna. Formerly yatna was in form of karma yoga. Now the yatna is in the form of shravanam, manam, etc. Yatanti, mamashritya, having taken refuge in me. All the time Lord is kept in front. All the time Lord is kept in the mind. Sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara. Recognizing that it is His grace that does everything. That I have the desire for knowledge, that is His grace. I have a teacher, that is His grace. I'm able to listen to the scriptures, His grace. I'm able to think about it, His grace. I can meditate, His grace. All the time, Rakmam Ashritya, always taking refuge into the Lord, the goal, keeping always the goal in mind, and recognizing that it is His grace that is doing it. Ye yatanti, those devotees of mine who exert themselves, strive, Te Brahma tad viduhu. They come to know that Brahman, which is Param Brahma, the limitless. Adhyatmam. They also know the manifestation of Brahman at the level of the self. They know Brahman also is the very self. Karma chakilam. They know Brahman also as a manifestation of the universe. Universe is the product of karma. So they know Brahman as karma also. And last verse says, Sadhibhutadhidaivam mam Sadhiyajnancha ye viduhu Prayanakale pichamam Te viduryukta chetasaha Sadhibhuta sadhideva mam viduhu. See, in the 30th verse, Lord Krishna uses the pronoun mam. In the 29th verse, Te Brahma tad viduhu. Tat. They know that Brahman. And 30th, they know me. Meaning that Brahman and me is one alone. So they know that Brahman or know me. Sadhibhutam adhibhutena sahitam. They know my many expression as adhibhuta. Meaning expression as a whole world made up of the 5 elements. So this elemental universe also is a manifestation of Lord. They recognize me as manifest as an elemental world. Adhidevam. The devatas are what we call the presiding deities, the controlling forces. So this universe runs according to certain laws. Those laws are called devatas. Different laws are called different devatas. So they are the governing principles. We imagine devatas are in the heavens, that's the imagination, but basically these are all the natural forces. Therefore even the wind also is called devata, fire also is devata, and water also is devata. All these devatas means what we call the cosmic forces. So they know me, my manifestation as the cosmic forces. So they know my manifestation as karma, as a very cause for creation. They know me as the creation made up of these 5 elements, including their own body-mind complex also. They know me as the very devatas, all the divine forces which regulate the whole universe. Sadhi yajnam, along with the yajna, I am present in every yajna. So Lord Krishna says, I am present in all the bhutas. Bhuta means elements. Elements are my manifestation. I am present in all the devatas. The devatas also are my manifestation. Adhiyajnam, yajna also is my manifestation. Karma also is my manifestation. Adhyatmam, the individual also is my manifestation. Now when you go home, then see what else remains now. Does this cover everything or something remains? Adhibhuta, adhideva, adhyatma. Adhyatma individual, adhibhuta the universe, adhideva divine. The individual plane, the plane of the world, and the divine plane. And also includes karma, the very cause. Yajna, the sacrificial actions. And Brahman, that transcends everything. So these are the 5 manifestations of Brahman. The transcendental truth manifests as immanence. So immanence of the Ishvara is described as adhyatmam, as karma, adhibhuta, adhideva, adhiyajna. So Brahman, that is the truth, manifests as these 5-fold manifestations. They know me in the totality. So understand that wise people know Ishvara not only as transcendental, but as immanent. Immanent in the world also, in divine forces also, in yajna also, in the self also. So you remember what was said in the beginning? By knowing which, everything as well becomes known. So Lord Krishna says, my devotees, the wise people, recognize me everywhere. So what is meant by knowing everything is recognizing Ishvara everywhere. The wise people know everything, not in the sense of how many elements are, how many grains of sand are there, but they know everything as they see the Lord everywhere. Vasudeva sarvamiti. What is sarvam? They said here, adhyatmam, karma, adhibhutam, adhidevam, adhiyajnam. That's called sarva, all of that. In all these manifestations, they see me. Thus this is called knowledge. When Ishvara is known both as immanent as well as transcendent. When know means they gain abidance in the knowledge. In their vision, there is nothing but Ishvara. But Swami, what happens at the time of death? Prayana kale pichamam te viduhu yukta chetasah. Inasmuch as yukta chetasah, those whose mind is focused on me, because they know me as the one non-dual. In their mind there is none other than me. Prayana kalepi, even at the time of death also, te viduhu, they know me, meaning that in the time of death also, they don't miss me. I do not disappear from him even at the time of death. So that's what Lord Krishna says, they continue to know me, because know me is the self. Even at the time of death also, something happens to the body, but the self is known as Brahman. Everything is known as the self. Meaning that this knowledge does not go away even at the time of death. Even the process of death, which may be very painful, there also does not deny this knowledge. And these last 1.5 verses are introduction to the whole 8th chapter. And these ideas are going to be elaborated in the 8th chapter. Well, Lord Krishna will say, why the question about death? Lord Krishna says, whatever is the last thought, that determines your subsequent destination. But for this wise person, the last thought also will be nothing but Brahman. I am Brahman. Why is it so? Sada tad bhava bhavitah. Because he always entertained that thought. Therefore, that is only thought. All other thoughts are modification of this thought. Even thoughts come. But in all of that, this is always there. I am Brahman. Like right now, all the thoughts come to me, but in that, I am Jiva. That is always there. Never forget. Here also, whatever thoughts come, in that is contained this knowledge, I am Brahman. And therefore, even when Resha Brahmi sthiti partha, nainam partha vimuchyati, stitva samantakaalapi, Brahma nirvanam ruchyati, when it is Brahma nirvanam, meaning total oneness with Brahman. That's called Videha Mukti. They are liberated even while they are alive, and they continue to remain liberated even after that. That way this 7th chapter called Jnana Vijnana. Jnana means Ishvara, Vijnana means his manifold manifestation. Or Jnanam means the knowledge of Ishvara, and Vijnanam is a very bhakti, the means by which Ishvara is known. So both of these have been, in both ways, these expressed terms, Jnana and Vijnanam, have been very beautifully delineated in this chapter. Therefore this chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. There is no nomenclature, is very informal. Jnanam teham sa Vijnanam, that's how the verse begin. So chapter is named Jnana Vijnana Yoga. The chapter 7th, of which the title is Jnana, or subject matter is Jnanam and Vijnanam. So let us read the last Sankalpa Vakya. Om Tatsat Iti Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītāsu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyāyām Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamodhyaya. Om Tat Sat. In this manner, Śrīmad Bhagavad Gītā Su. So this, the divine song of the Lord, Upanishatsu, which is nothing but so many Upanishads, Brahma Vidyayam, whose main topic, subject matter is Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman, Yoga Shastra, which also explains the yoga, which is the means of that knowledge, Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, which Bhagavad Gita is in the form of the Samvada, the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Jnana Vijnana Yoga Nama, the chapter titled Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Saptamodhyaya, the 7th chapter, thus concluded. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja अहं सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। हरि ओम। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः।